Today, we're opening up some really fascinating sources. They guide us back to a philosophy, well, it's so foundational, it kind of quietly shaped huge intellectual movements.
Yeah, things like the Renaissance, the Enlightenment.
Exactly. We are talking about the Hermetic laws. These are principles linked to this, well, almost legendary figure, Hermes Trismegistus.
Right, and it's worth just pausing on that name for a second. Trismegistus, it literally means thrice great.
Thrice great.
Yeah, suggesting, mastery across three big realms of knowledge: alchemy, astrology, and theosophy. And these ideas we're digging into today, they didn't stay hidden for long.
Right.
No, they were really influential for thinkers like Plato,
Right.
exploring ideas about forms versus reality. And then centuries later, you've got Sir Isaac Newton.
Newton, really?
Oh, absolutely. He was apparently deeply into Hermetic concepts, seeing the universe as structured by, well, a kind of divine thought.
Okay, so that's a key distinction then. This isn't just like fortune cookie wisdom we're dealing with.
Wow.
We're looking at a kind of philosophical blueprint that some major historical figures used to understand how creation itself operates.
Precisely. So our mission for you today is pretty clear. We want to dive into just the first two laws, they're really the foundation, and find the practical, actionable stuff you can use, like right now.
Okay, these first two principles sound simple, but I get the feeling they pack a punch.
They really do. Simple, yet. Yeah, radically empowering. They explain how you, as a thinking person, kind of interface with the, let's call it the larger consciousness of the universe.
So what are they?
The first is the principle of mentalism, basically all is mind. And the second, which flows from it, is the principle of correspondence, often summed up as within, so without.
All is mind. Okay, let's start there. Let's unpack mentalism first.
Right. So mentalism is this fundamental idea that the universe, like everything in it, is ultimately a creation of consciousness.
Consciousness, you mean like God? Or
Well, you could call it God or infinite energy, the great mind. The source material uses various terms, but the core point is that everything that is first had to exist as a thought.
So it's not just saying my thoughts create my reality.
It's bigger than that. It's suggesting that existence itself has the structure of a living, thinking entity. The whole universe is mind.
Wow, okay. That definitely lifts it out of the usual self-help context. If the universe is mind, then it implies it's logical, it has structure, it's potentially comprehensible.
Exactly. And that's why someone like Newton, the ultimate scientist of his day, was so drawn to this stuff. He wasn't looking for, magic spells.
He was looking for the laws.
Right. The underlying laws, the mathematical principles embedded in what he saw as a divine blueprint.
Okay, so if we bring that huge concept down to our level, to human creation.
The principle holds absolutely true. Think about anything. Electricity being harnessed, a skyscraper being built, even just planning a garden layout. Before any of that became physical, tangible stuff, it existed perfectly, non-physically, just as an idea. An ideal held in someone's imagination, or maybe a collective imagination. The mind is literally where reality gets drafted.
Okay, so if you really take that on board, really embrace it, the implication is, well, it kind of stops you feeling powerless, doesn't it?
That's the empowering core of it. You realize you're not just some random speck floating in chaos.
Oh.
You're like a microcosm of that great mind. You possess that same creative force just on a different scale. Every choice, every belief you hold, it has creative potential.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me because, the immediate question, the skeptical flag goes up.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going.
If all is mind and we have this creative force, does that mean people who experience genuine trauma or loss or, really tough external situations, are they somehow choosing that? That sounds problematic.
Yeah. It does, and that's the critical nuance we absolutely have to address. The sources, remember, are ancient. They aren't offering some kind of simplistic blame the victim narrative.
So how do they handle real external hardship, stuff that's clearly outside your immediate thoughts?
The key is in the application. Mentalism isn't about magically controlling every single external event that bumps into you. It's about controlling your experience of those events.
Your experience, okay.
And crucially, where you direct your creative energy in response to them. The sources emphasize, look, you can't stop the storm from arriving.
Right.
But you absolutely can choose the internal architecture, the mindset, the house you build within yourself to weather that storm.
So it puts the power back in your response.
Precisely. It guarantees that the creative force lies in your beliefs, your choices, your attitude towards what's happening, regardless of that initial external shock. You shift from just reacting to everything to composing your experience.
Okay, that clarifies the mechanism. It's about agency, even when reality hits hard. And the sources give that example, right? The two people in traffic.
Yes, it's a perfect illustration. You've got two people facing the exact same stressful external situation. Let's say it's rush hour traffic or maybe a really intense deadline at work. Identical pressure.
Okay.
Person A starts the day, maybe even unconsciously, with this internal story. Ugh, today's gonna be awful. I'm always late. Everything always goes wrong for me.
We've all been there.
Totally. Then you have person B. Their internal starting point is different. Okay, this is complex, but I can handle it. I'll stay calm. Things will work out somehow.
The external facts are the same, though. The traffic jam, the deadline pressure.
Identical. Red lights, angry drivers, the clock ticking. Same for both.
But their experience, that's where it's split.
Instantly. Person A, because their inner thought is frustration. That's mentalism in action. They focus entirely on the negative. They see the idiot drivers, the wasted time, how unfair it all is.
And probably miss any potential solutions.
Exactly. They are so consumed by the negative story, they don't notice the side street opening up or the chance to make a quick productive call while stuck.
Whereas person B,
starting from that place of, I can handle this, their mind is actually looking for solutions. They're calmer, more observant. Maybe they do spot that alternate route.
or maybe they just use the time differently.
Right. Maybe they use that unexpected pause to mentally prep for their meeting or listen to something calming. The point isn't that person B magically erased the traffic jam.
No.
It's that their initial mental state, their internal blueprint, guided their focus, which shaped their actions or even their non-actions, like staying calm, and that ultimately built a less stressful, more effective outcome for them.
They experienced the same event differently.
Totally differently. They manifested internal calm, and their subjective outer reality shifted accordingly.
Okay, so the mechanism feels logical then.
Yeah.
Your thoughts create your internal narrative, like the story you tell yourself.
Yep.
That narrative directs your focus, what you pay attention to. And your focus determines what actions you take, what details you notice, what you engage with. So if you believe the world's helping you, you actively look for the help.
And you tend to find it. Or at least notice it. And if you believe the world's against you, well, you'll find endless proof points for that too.
Okay, so that brings us to the first really practical takeaway from mentalism. What's the action step?
It's about becoming a really rigorous observer of your own internal dialogue, your self-talk.
Catching yourself in the act.
Exactly. When you catch yourself running that negative tape, rehearsing a bad outcome, telling that story that everything's stacked against you, you have to consciously stop it.
To stop or replace it.
Replace it. And not just with vague positive thinking. Actively, deliberately replace that limiting narrative with a specific chosen picture of capability or a desired state. Something like, okay, I can handle this challenge effectively, or I'm open to seeing the solutions unfolding right now.
So it's like conscious mental engineering.
That's a great way to put it. You're engineering your internal state.
And that internal state, that engineered thought or tone, that leads us right into the second law, doesn't it? Correspondence.
Perfectly. Because once you set that inner tone using mentalism, it immediately starts to express itself outwardly. That's the principle of correspondence.
As above, so below, as within, so without. That's the famous one.
It really is. It talks about this sort of fractal nature of reality, like patterns repeating on different scales.
So the pattern inside you ripples out.
That's the idea. If the pattern inside you is, say, chaos and stress, that pattern will tend to show up externally, maybe in messy relationships, a disorganized environment, friction in your daily interactions.
It's that old idea of the microcosm and the macrocosm, right? My inner world mirrors the outer world and vice versa.
Exactly. The inner world, the microcosm of you, reflects the larger structures, the macrocosm. So if you're constantly projecting, say, frustration or anger,
The world kind of echoes it back.
it tends to, that frequency gets reflected as tension, maybe arguments, maybe people just subtly avoiding you, like attracts, like on an energetic level.
The sources use an example with homes, right, to illustrate this.
Yeah, it's a good one. Think about two homes. Home A. Inside, people generally speak kindly, respectfully. There's clarity, maybe some genuine appreciation shown. What kind of atmosphere develops there?
Peaceful, probably. Calm. Efficient, maybe.
Right. Now, home B. Maybe it's got nicer furniture or whatever, but the underlying tone is constant criticism, or maybe that really subtle passive aggression or just simmering resentment.
Yeah, you can feel that tension in the air sometimes.
Exactly. The atmosphere becomes heavy, stifling, tense. The difference isn't the physical stuff, the furniture.
It's the energy.
It's the energetic tone. The outer atmosphere, the actual feel of the place, is a direct correspondence, a reflection of the inner tone of the people living there.
Okay, so let's connect the two laws explicitly then. How do mentalism and correspondence work together?
It's a flow. First, you have the deliberate thought or the habitual thought pattern that's mentalism. That thought creates your inner state, your inner tone, your energy. Then, that inner tone inevitably sets the external atmosphere around you. That's correspondence. So if your internal world is feeling rushed, critical, anxious,
Your external world starts to feel that way too, even if nothing specific is happening.
yes, even if you're just sitting quietly, that inner state radiates outwards and colors your perception and experience of the environment. The outer reflects the inner.
Wow. Okay, so putting these two together gives us a really practical, almost like a diagnostic tool for when things feel off.
Absolutely. It means when your outer world feels chaotic or overwhelming, maybe a difficult project at work, friction in a relationship.
The usual advice is jump in and fix the external problem.
Right. But the Hermetic approach, using these laws, suggests the most effective first step is actually counterintuitive.
Which leads to actionable step number 2.
Exactly. Actionable step 2, based on correspondence. Don't just rush to fix the outside thing first. Pause. Go internal. Ask yourself, okay, what is this external chaos reflecting back to me about what's happening inside? What's going on with my own energy, my own mental state right now?
So give me an example. Like, if I feel like everyone around me is constantly making demands on my time.
Okay, good one. So the external is demanding people. You pause, look within using correspondence. The inner reflection might show you, I have this underlying belief, that's mentalism, that my worth comes from sacrificing my time or always saying yes.
So the external demands are just mirroring my lack of internal boundaries.
Precisely. They correspond to your inner state. So the most effective response isn't necessarily confronting all these people first.
It's working inward.
Yes, work inward first. Find your own inner calm. Deliberately establish a mental boundary. Choose the thought, mentalism again, that my time is valuable and I allocate it wisely. Then act from that new centered place.
And the idea is the external demands might actually lessen.
Often they do, or they shift, or you handle them differently because you've changed the inner frequency they're interacting with. The outer starts to correspond to your new inner state.
Okay, so the long-term benefit the sources talk about here isn't about, like, bending the universe to your will with brute force.
No, not at all. It's more elegant. It's about synchronization. You're aiming to sync your inner world, your thoughts, your energy with the fundamental creative rhythm of the universe itself.
Getting in flow, essentially.
That's a great way to put it. That's the real payoff. And that's why consistency in applying these principles matters. Over time, your outer world genuinely starts to mirror the focus you've cultivated inside.
So if we zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture. Understanding mentalism and correspondence, the ultimate goal is
It's realizing that when your inner world, your thoughts, feelings, intentions, and your outer world, your experiences, environment, relationships start to match up in a state of, say, peace or clarity or purpose, then life begins to move with you.
instead of feeling like you're always swimming upstream.
Exactly. You start perpetually fighting the current and you start to glide with it. That leads to that sense of clarity, calm, and purpose that, deep thinkers were arguably always searching for.
So wrapping this up then, these ancient laws, they aren't really strict rules to memorize like dogma.
No, they're more like reminders. Reminders of the underlying mechanics of how life already works. When you manage your focus, clearly that's mentalism.
Life tends to respond with clarity. That's correspondence.
Beautifully put. The clarity and the calm that come from living in alignment with these principles, that's the harmony people like Newton or Plato were seeking. Not just understanding the world, but knowing how to live well within its inherent structure.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you, our listener, to kind of chew on after this deep dive. The more clearly you think, the more clearly life responds. So what's maybe one persistent story, that narrative we talked about that you're currently telling yourself?
Yeah, a story of limitation maybe, or fear, or just frustration.
Right. What's one story like that that you could maybe gently choose to replace today? Just start crafting a new, more empowering picture inside, knowing that the quality of your inner life, well, it inevitably sets the tone for the world waiting outside your window.
Something to think about.
Definitely. Give that idea some air. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.